Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday questions and answers session. Today we're going to be discussing PPC with Munib Nana, who's the analyst who covers that stock for us. Then we'll go to Sean for the technical bit. I want to remind you, I've placed it in the chat. We have a discussion tomorrow with Justin Floor from PSG Asset Management and Adrian Pask from PSG Investment Management, and we're going to be talking about balanced funds. And I thought you guys may find it interesting to attend that call if you could. It's at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. I've put the link there for you to go and register. It takes place on a third-party platform. But if you're registered, then we'll also send you the details for the recording afterwards. So if you just register and you can't attend the physical call tomorrow, then you will get access to the recording. It's normally a nice discussion because it gets us into the minds of the fund managers who manage these professional portfolios for the unit trusts. So it gives you a fair idea of how they think about picking stocks or what these unit trusts are specifically created for. That'll be tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. So if you click on the link there, you can go and register. And if you struggle, just pop us a message and we'll try and get that link to you so that you can register. But for today, we're going to be discussing PPC, and I'm going to hand straight over to Munib.
Thanks, Arnold. Good morning, everyone. First and foremost, touching on the macro environment, South Africa's construction industry is expected to contract by 0.5% in FY25. This is due to rising costs as well as weak residential demand, as well as impacted by project delays, inflation and interest rates. That those two remains quite stable, which does provide a supportive backdrop for the construction sector. Zimbabwe's currency continues to face significant challenges due to persistent inflation. In terms of our valuation, we do have an upside of 9.6%, trading at a 1-year forward P of 9.82 times below its 5-year average. And most recently, PPC released the FY25 annual results. The group revenue decreased by 1.9%. This was largely impacted by the decline in PPC Zimbabwe's revenue, whereas in South Africa, the revenue remained quite flat as well. Looking at the group EBITDA as well as the group EBITDA margin, those two have expanded quite nicely. In terms of a recommendation, we are currently maintaining our hold recommendation. Looking at the construction input price index, out of these 5 factors within the construction sector, the building installation has increased the most year-on-year by 6.8%. This was largely due to an increase in material costs as well as an increase in energy prices. Looking at PPC's revenue as well as the EBITDA margin, since 2021, we have seen a decline in PPC's EBITDA margin. However, since 2023, it has picked up momentum towards the upside. Digging a bit deeper into PPC's FY25 results, in South Africa and Botswana, their volumes declined by 2.3%. In Zimbabwe, with the same thing, their volumes declined by 5.5%, and the material business is not doing too well as it declined by 9.3%. Shifting to the table below, PPC's EBITDA, cement in South Africa and Botswana, as well as the EBITDA in Zimbabwe, they done quite well. South Africa and Botswana up 22%, and the same with Zimbabwe up 29%. They've done a very good job in bringing the gross debt in South Africa and Botswana down quite nicely by 35%. Looking at the performance, since August 2024, we have seen an upside above the JC Caps Wicks. So overall, they're not looking too bad. In conclusion, in South Africa and Botswana, as well as Zimbabwe, the construction sector, as well as the retail sector, is looking quite depressed. The balance sheet, they do have a strong balance sheet with a net debt to EBITDA a negative 0.15 times. As mentioned before, we do have an intrinsic value of 560. In terms of our outlook, 3 billion will be invested in FY26 to FY27 to build RK3, which is the new plant they're building in the Western Cape. And just in terms of their long-term goal, PPC is currently implementing the Giant strategy, which aims to improve operational efficiency as well as profitability. Now I'll hand over to Sean to discuss technicals.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, you can see the chart there of PPC. Obviously, this is onto yesterday's close. You can see it's trading just below its 20-day moving averages, but just above its 50-day moving averages and far above its 200-day moving average. So both the medium and the long-term trends remain bullish. In the short term, the share price has recently broken below call it a support trend line, and that triggered a bit of a change in trend, but it's still holding onto its previous resistance level around about at R5 level, which will now act like a new support level. Yeah, the share price is, you can see on the screen there, it's trading just below its intrinsic value of about 560. And as Manif says, we still have our hold recommendation. You can also see there that the MACD indicator is trading just in overwater territory and below its trigger line. And I see it now, the share price is up nearly 2.76%. So it's trading at, where was it again? 519. Yeah, so it's jumped up nicely. So obviously you can see from yesterday's chart on the screen here, I've added a second trend line to see if that will hold. And today the share price sort of always refers to the size of the bars. So today's candlestick bar is bigger than yesterday's one. So it looks like it's bouncing up and holding that support. And yeah, the MACD indicator looks like it's also turning up. So it's all very positive right now. So that support is important and looks positive. So yeah, that's how I see it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, I think it may test that previous high just around 575, which it made sort of a couple of weeks ago. But overall, this thing has had quite a bounce from where it came from. And like Manip says, there are some risks around. So I kind of feel that if it touches that previous high or gets close to it, sort of about above 560, 580, I'd actually look to rather liquidate a couple than hang on too long. I mean, there's nothing fundamental that says this business is going to turn around now. There's no infrastructure spend that's going to kick it off properly. The Chinese imports are still a threat to them. So, and then even though they're looking very strong from a balance sheet point of view, it's sort of in the price for me. But that's just my own personal take. I'll put up a poll for us just now, and we'll get input from everybody on the call. Let's hop to the chat quickly and see what's there. I see Richard said he couldn't see my link for tomorrow's thing, so I've now pasted the whole thing as it comes up in my browser. So if you could let me know if that rather works for you, Richard, to take you through to the registration page. What I found when I clicked on the link the first time, I had to press Control click, for it in order for it to open. So press Control, hold it in, and then click, and it should open a browser session for you in your internet browser. Okay, back to what we're focusing on today. PPC, let's see if there are any questions from that side. Oh, Richard says he's got it. Thanks. Okay, great stuff. Any questions on PPC for Munib, guys? For us, the market's nice and strong today. It's up about 0.25%. Some of the stocks are powering ahead. I mean, with NVIDIA and AMD saying that they're going to start selling AI chips again in China. I suppose that's the reason why Naspers is so strong. Naspers trading at 5,540. So that's just powering ahead. But yeah, like Sean said, even a stock like PPC is up 2.17% for the day. It's nice and firm. A couple of the other stocks mentionables, we spoke about MTN not too long ago, and that's up at about around $145. So in general, the market's looking quite okay. One other thing to note, whilst we're waiting for the guys to put questions for PPC, is Aspen has done what we expected, and it's now down at a very long-term support. So I just wanted to tell that to the guys. It's trading at 114, right? So I would keep a close eye on that one to see if it's not maybe presents an opportunity to pick up some, because it has come off since we last spoke. Right, let's see. There's still no questions. I think there are very few guys who actually hold PPC. Let's put the poll up and see if we actually have guys, apart from me, holding PPC. Let's launch the poll. I said PPC, let's see. I hold PPC. I'm selling mine if it gets to 560, or there are better options in the market. Let's see what you guys say. All right, there we go. Tell me when you can see it. I think I know what the answer is going to be here. There's one who's selling his. We know who he is. There's a second guy who says there are better options. There we go. 5 responses so far. Come, guys, give us your view. There's no right or wrong answer, yeah? Tell us whether you'll be selling yours or whether you think there are better options. Maybe you think you hold PPC and you just keep it. There's quite a couple of guys who say they hold PPC, and they're not in the boat of the single guy who wants to sell his at 560. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, there are better. I agree. I think there are better options in the market. I think there's a couple of other stocks that you can keep your eyes peeled on. Like Munib says, there's a 9% upside, to intrinsic value. If it does get to 580, it's not out of the question. It can certainly return to that previous top. It's going to take some work, I think. So let's keep an eye on this for the next couple of weeks. Munib, doesn't look like there's any questions for you today, mate. You got a lucky draw here. Why is the market looking good? Let's see. Why is the market looking good given the negative local sentiment? Is overseas investors piling in? Richard, I don't have a look at that. I haven't had a look at the volumes that the foreigners are doing in the market over the last couple of days. I don't know if one of the analysts on the call have a view on what the foreigners are doing in our market. But the market's pulled along with all the green in the rest of the world. I think it's simply a function of that. We're only up 0.25%, but it just keeps going slowly going higher. All share index trading at 97,300 almost. So we'll see that thing at 100,000 soon. No views from the analysts on the foreigners. Richard, I'll try and get you an answer, and then next week we'll touch base on that. I'll tell you what the involvement of the foreigners were over the last couple of days. Yeah.
I'm happy to pitch in here as well.
Yes, please, Pia.
Yeah, so please. We think, there's a lot of things that also, so if you look at tariffs, which was a major concern, people are calling it now the taco trade, you know, where Trump always chickens out. That's the, you know, abbreviation for the taco trade. So, but he says, yeah, you know, it's just a negotiation tool at the end of the day. And practically, you know, it's hard to, you know, make an investment call with all that uncertainty. So people or investors are sitting a bit back. So in essence, the market is not reacting as it did to tariff threats when it all started, you know, let's say they're around 4th of April or so. So that's the one thing. Then the other thing, that escalation in the war, that seems to de-escalate a little bit. So that also helped markets. And now with the earnings seasons, and so starting again, we're seeing again a lot of tech optimism, and so offshore driving markets again. So all of that's helping global markets. And if there's overall positive sentiment in markets, it also benefits us as an emerging market, because we're seen as higher risk due to our emerging market. So if it's a risk-on environment, that helps us overall to also benefit from our markets. And then locally, I think recently there weren't too many own goals as we sometimes do have in South Africa. So I think that all of those combined is basically where it landed. However, we think, you know, you should still pay attention to you know, what will be the tariff impacts be at the end of the day of the market and all of that. So yes, that we think that's the reason for the market being higher. If the market is correct, that however is a different discussion, I would say.
Yeah, thanks for that input, Pierre. That's valuable. I think the market's also learned that Trump he may or he may not. I mean, every time I see that on Bloomberg TV, that's the only thing he says. You know, they ask him a question about this, and he says, I may, but I may not. You know, just make up your mind. You know, last time he said he won't bomb Iran. He may or he may not, and then the next night he bombed them. So you just never know with that, Oak. But like Pierre says, the market is waiting to get clarity on these tariffs. It seems that it's sort of filtering out, because it looks like they're prepared to make deals along the way. But once we have clarity on that, I think the market will take its next direction. But overall, the sentiment's not bad. And like Pierre says, if the sentiment across the world is positive, it also pulls us slightly higher. All right, let's see. Sean, can you do an analysis on S&P 500 for us? Yeah, we'll see if we can include a chart for you on the S&P 500 next week. We'll do that for you, Richard. Absolutely. All right. Guys, if that's it, I don't see any other questions in that. Please, those of you who want to join us tomorrow on the call with Justin Floor and Dr. Adrian Past from PSG Investment Management, like I say, we're going to be talking about balanced funds, and balanced funds typically hold quite a bit of equity. So we're going to be touching on what kind of stocks they hold and how they go about picking those stocks, and then how Adrian blends his funds, and I'll be talking about the application of the fund to the individual investor and specifically towards retirement. But you guys are welcome to join. The link's in the chat now, the long link and the short link. So register, and if you can't make the call, then at least you can have access to that recording, because we don't make those recordings publicly. All right. Thanks for joining us today. Sean, what's up next week? I think it's ShopRite. So we're back with Munib next week doing ShopRite. All right. We'll see you same time, same place next week, Thursday. Have a fantastic day. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Yes.
Yes, bye-bye.